So my name's Guy Brown. I'm a professor here in the Department of Computer Science, University of Sheffield. I'm also currently the head of department. I've had an interest in music for a long time, and I'm currently combining that with my research interest in computer science, which is around designing and developing machines that understand sound in some way, so-called machine hearing systems, rather like machine vision systems, which can understand images. It's a kind of broader concept which allows computer systems to understand sound. So I think AI in a broad sense is trying to get computer systems to do things that would normally require human intelligence. And that covers a whole spectrum of things that humans are able to do that machines find very difficult to do. So we can learn from data that we're given, for example. We can reason about information that we're given. We can perceive our environment, so we can understand speech, or we can understand images. We can do creative things. So, for example, we can create an artwork, or we can create a piece of music. Those are things which appear to require human intelligence in order to do. So we might call that natural intelligence. Actually, getting those abilities reproduced in a computer system is very challenging, and it does require some understanding, I think, of how humans solve those problems, how we reason, how we learn. So the basic technique that we're using here is something called a deep neural network, and this is a computer algorithm that learns from data. You present it a number of examples during training, and then it learns something about the structure of those examples. And neural networks are so called because they're broadly based on information processing in the brain. So in the brain you've got a lot of neurons that are connected in a massive network, and the idea in a computer neural network is that you have simple processing units, which we call nodes, and lots of those connected together. The term deep neural network comes about because those are arranged into layers, and each of those layers extracts different kinds of information about the training information that you provide to it. And those layers can be very deep, from a few, 2, 3, through to tens, hundreds, or even thousands of layers. So we have a team of 3 people working here. There's myself and 2 researchers, Ningmar and Paolo Vecchiotti, and they're both wizards with deep learning. So within music, there's 2 approaches that we've taken. So one of those actually is to generate new sounds by learning about the structure of sounds that we play to the network. So we might, for example, take the idea of producing percussion sounds. So in order to do that, you would play a number of examples of different percussion sounds, so different bass drums, cymbals, snare drums, and so on, and tell the neural network what each one of those is, and then it will find some common structure which is about what those sound classes are like. So what are the characteristics of a snare drum, what are the characteristics of a cymbal, and so on. Then where it gets interesting is that you can ask it to generate new sounds. And that doesn't have to be just from one class. You could say, well, let's produce a sound that's somewhere between a snare drum and a cymbal. What does that sound like? So there's a technique there that allows us to produce new and interesting sounds for music production. Another aspect of that is actually learning about the pattern of chords or the pattern of note sequences. So playing various melodies, various sequences of chords. And again, the neural network can learn about the structure of those, and it will have its own idea through that learning about what might come next. So that allows us to design systems where, for example, the input might be a short piece of music, say a few notes or a bar of music, and then we can ask the network, well, what do you think would come next? And that can generate a new musical idea which might lead the band in a particular direction that they perhaps might not otherwise have taken. So I think producing music is a very challenging thing to do. It's relatively straightforward to produce music that sounds mechanical. It's much more difficult to produce music that's got real feeling to it. Again, I think we're some distance from being able to do that. So that's one challenge, producing music that has some kind of emotional content to it. Another challenge in some of the work that we're doing, we're producing systems that actually generate sound, and those sounds can have a kind of distinctive feel to them, which probably allows them to be spotted as something that's being generated by a computer system. So there's a challenge there about either how you make those more natural or how you slot those sounds as they are into a musical piece. And it may be they are suitable as they are, but it's a question of how you use them. And then I think a third challenge really is actually how these systems get used by the band in a way that doesn't take over, but supports them in the creative process. So people often think of AI as a threatening thing. It could take your job, it can misuse your data, but I think what's often overlooked is that there's enormous potential for creativity in AI, and actually these systems helping human creative endeavours. Like, for example, writing a piece of music, or producing a painting, producing a drawing, producing a piece of literature. You know, I think it would be creatively uninteresting to kind of press a button and have a machine produce a perfect piece of music. What's much more interesting is an interaction between a creative human being and a creative machine. So it's almost like another band member, perhaps a system that's encouraging or suggesting or occasionally throwing curved balls. You know, here's a sound that you haven't heard before. How about that? That might lead you in a different creative path to the one that you were involved with.